can have a look around the Victory, explore the cabins on board and see the spot where Nelson was shot. There is a raised plaque on the deck which reads Nelson fell here, and I'm not surprised because I almost tripped over it myself. Victory is the oldest commissioned warship anywhere in the world. She's been in our fleet for well over 200 years and she's currently undergoing a multi-million-pound restoration project. That's why the top halves of her masts have been removed. So here she is then, the largest warship ever built for the Royal Navy, the Queen Elizabeth, alongside the Princess Royal Jetty. This quayside has been specially adapted to accommodate this 65,000-ton ship. The quay itself has been strengthened. There's various facilities been put here specifically for the aircraft carrier. The main harbour, approach channel and the berth itself has been dredged by around 2 metres, and this will allow the Queen Elizabeth in and out of Portsmouth at any height of tide, as she does have a draft of nearly 11 metres. So she is 280 metres long, 40 metres wide, and the flight deck is 70 metres across. The flight deck itself is reserved for the F-35B Lightning jets, and when fully operational she will be carrying a complement of nearly 40 of these, priced at £100 million each. She will also carry an array of helicopters, including the Merlins, Chinooks and Apache gunships. So there are 17 decks on board, and to get the planes from the hangar to the flight deck they have 2 lifts. Each of these lifts can accommodate 2 aircraft. That means it takes just 60 seconds to get 4 planes from the hangar onto the flight deck. She has the famous ski jump on the bow. This allows the aircraft to take off with a heavier payload of arms or fuel. When they come back into land though, they do have to land vertically, as there is no arresting gear on the runway. An interesting fact I found out just a couple of days ago is that they actually had to invent a new type of paint to paint the flight deck with, and this withstands temperatures of up to 1,500 degrees Celsius from the downwards thrust of the jets. So she arrived into Portsmouth last Wednesday at about 7:20 in the morning. Her arrival was actually practiced numerous times in the simulators we have at HMS Collingwood, and she was escorted into the harbour by 6 of our harbour tugs and a local pilot as well. She is the largest ship to ever come through the harbour entrance, and she had just 30 metres of clearance on either side. She was built up in Scotland. Parts of the bow sections are actually built here in Portsmouth, put onto a barge, towed up to Scotland where they're assembled to the rest of the ship, and she has a price tag of just £3.1 billion. She's pushed through the water by 2 fixed pitch propellers, each weighing 33 tonnes, and this pushes her at speeds of up to 25 knots. That means it would take her just 1 hour to go from Dover to Calais. To power the propellers, she has 2 gas turbines along with 4 diesel generators, and this produces over 100 megawatts of power. That's actually more than your average cruise ship. So you'll see there are 2 islands, the forward one being the bridge and the navigation centre, and the after one being the air traffic control and weapons centre. It actually took 250,000 litres of paint to paint the ship, and that's enough to cover an area the size of Hyde Park. You see there's a couple of our police launches here. There's at least 2 of these on patrol 24 hours of the day. They enforce a 50-metre exclusion zone off of all the quay walls and warships. They also make sure everyone adheres to the rules and the regulations, the main one being the 10-knot speed limit through the harbour. But there is, for obvious reasons, a 100-metre exclusion zone around the Queen Elizabeth, meaning this is the closest you'll get to the warship as a civilian. At the moment she has 679 crew, but once she's fully kitted out and ready to go on deployment, she'll have a complement of nearly 1,600 personnel, and she is the first of 2 of this class of carrier. Her sister ship, the Prince of Wales, is currently being constructed and due to enter Portsmouth for the first time in 2019. And the Queen Elizabeth herself should be fully operational by 2020. Over the next couple of years or so, she does have to undergo numerous trials and also tests with her aircraft. do have your cameras with you folks, definitely get them ready now. This is my personal favourite view of the ship we're about to get. We're going to pass underneath the bows of the Queen Elizabeth. You'll be able to see all the way through the bow section, see the ski jump there, and also the bridge overhanging on the starboard side. So we'll slow down and give you plenty of opportunity to get a pretty cool photograph. You should be able to see the spaces extending from the quayside. They're actually holding the aircraft carrier slightly further off the berth. This is so that her flight deck doesn't encroach into the quay at low tide. There's also a shore connection here, and this provides the ship with electricity while it's alongside. So there she is then, the Queen Elizabeth, and don't worry, we will see her again as we make our way back down the harbour later on. She'll be on the left-hand side or the port side. As we go on the tour today then, we will be looking around 3 miles of continuous waterfront, all owned by the Navy. From this part of the harbour, all the way up to the cross-channel ferry port, which you will see a bit later on. This was all dug out by hand by prisoner of war. All the London silt that was taken was dumped over on the left, where we see the red, green and yellow posts. That formed 16 square miles of mud.